Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best counters to the current meta, the best 15 brawlers in the game right now. We're going to be going through like 3 or 4 brawlers that truly counter them. A lot of these options are going to be like pretty close to the meta. There's hardly any like off meta picks here, mainly because it's just truly dominated by like the B, A, and S tier brawlers. Everything below that is just not really that usable in the meta, but I'll try my best to throw in a few off meta choices. So I've also had the help of Semantic and Humble's Analyst vid. I'll put both of their links in the description. So yeah, they've really helped me concise this list. I feel like I've got the basis of it, but there's a few that I was a bit unsure on. Semantic definitely helped me out with that. So let's start off with Cordelius then. So Cordelius feels like one of the most troublesome brawlers in the meta. He is top 3 in the game right now, in my opinion. He just shuts down literally everything. If he gets within range of you, you're pretty much dead, no matter what brawler you are, even if you're a tank. Even if you're Hank, he just rips through a Hank. So starting off with Sandy. So Sandy is not like a stupidly insane counter to Cordelius, but you know, you kind of got that mid-range battle which Sandy can do pretty well in. Cordelius can outplay Sandy sometimes if, you know, times jump well. You've got to always conserve your ammo with Sandy, but most of the time Sandy should come out on top. And in pro play, a lot of pros draft Sandy into the Cordelius, especially in gem grab. Next up we have Stu. So Stu, he's good in 1v1s against a lot of different brawlers, but I think the one matchup I see Stu actually like relevant in right now is into a Cordelius. So whether that's like in hot zone, whether it's in gem grab, etc. Not saying Stu's a crazy brawler in the meta, he's not that good, but into a Cordelius is pretty good because when you put Stu into the shadow realm, you know, Stu can actually just win that 1v1 just because of his main attack, and then also Stu can just glide by Cordelius and get out of his range. Next up we got Draco. So Draco, the reason why Draco is good into Cordelius, it's not because of the 1v1 matchup, it's more so because Draco can just go about by himself and just deal more pressure and just get more hypercharges, etc. than a Cordelius. And if played correctly in a 1v1, Draco can win that. Not saying every single time, but do be wary. A good Cordelius, like a really good one, can also waste your super quite easily. So I just think it's because it's like a aggressive versus aggressive brawler, which Draco just normally makes more plays, if that makes sense. And then we've got Ash and Willow, the last 2. So to be honest, there's not any like crazy counters out there. I think my favorite ones are definitely Sandy and Stu. Next up we're looking at brawlers to counter Charlie. So I feel like this is actually pretty simple right now. There was a period in time when Charlie first got buffed, it felt like there was hardly any brawlers to counter, but then we just had to rewind back to like a year plus ago when she was meta. Just the similar counters are still pretty prevalent here. So to begin with, Amber. Amber is a great counter to Charlie, the best one by far. Amber pierces through Charlie's spiders pretty easily, and then that mid interaction, Amber can just get free supers onto Charlie for free, and yeah, it's just easy. Amber's just always been the biggest counter, just no debates here. Shouldn't even be having to explain myself. All the pros draft Amber into Charlie straight away. Next up is Sandy as well. So Sandy pierces through Charlie's spiders again, and just again mid interaction, Sandy's always been pretty good, so that's why Sandy's got better in the meta. He's a good counter to a lot of brawlers at the top here. Next we've got Jae-Young. So again, Jae-Young pierces through Charlie's spiders, and you've got Jae-Young just being able to escape Charlie's main attack and super pretty easily with his main attack. And normally you play Charlie's mid in gem grab, so Jae-Young just does that role a lot better. Next we've got Angelo. So this is more so in like knockout and bouncing. You've seen a lot of Charlie right now. Charlie typically counters other snipers with the spiders. Well, Angelo, he can use the pierce gadget and pierce through all of his spiders and then heavily outrange a Charlie. So I think Angelo's the clearest sniper counter there. So next up we're looking to counter Gus, and Gus is a pretty hard brawler to counter most of the time because he's such an annoying brawler in the sense like he's supposed to be a support brawler, but he's a really good sniper, and he's also a really good damage dealer in the sense that his main attack is so easy to hit, and he's got a knockback with a shield which can help him against assassins. So there's not a lot of like big weaknesses to Gus. I think the biggest weakness has to be his damage. So if there's multiple aggressive brawlers on the map, he probably will get pushed back pretty easily. And spawnables are really good, so whether that's Charlie's spiders, whether that's Tara's pets, or whether that's Ash's rats. So the first best counter is Ash in my opinion. So as I was speaking to Semantic like a week ago or so, it helped make me realize that Ash is a good counter. I don't know why I never thought of that, but I've been going a lot more Ash into Gus, and it's just easy. You throw your rats onto Gus, he can't do anything about it, and you can just cycle through to your hypercharge a lot easily. Like it's just an easy matchup. I don't know why I never thought of that. Charlie as well. I don't think it's like a crazy matchup, but I just like Charlie into Gus just because he can waste a lot of his ammo. Again, it's pretty hard to counter Gus. And then the last one is Squeak, mainly because Squeak is pretty good into those support brawlers. Squeak is good in like knockout and bounty, where Gus is primarily used. So you use Squeak a lot into snipers, and Gus is one of those. So I think Squeak just has a good matchup there because he can just wall peek better than a Gus. Next up, we're looking to counter our Milky Boy Hank, and there's quite a lot of counters in the meta now for Hank. That's why you didn't really see him played as much in pro play and this or last weekend in the monthly finals. But the first one absolutely has to be Dynamite. So Dynamite's just so easily, like, throwers can be pretty annoying to Hank, but especially Dynamite because he's got the stun gadget. I just feel like Hank has such a massive hitbox for whatever reason, and it's impossible not to hit shots with Dynamite into Hank. It's by far the biggest counter. Just try it out if you've not already. Next is Draco. So this is why you saw Draco just pop up in the meta a lot more even before his hypercharge, because Hank was one of the best brawlers in the game. So Draco just feeds off Hank really easily. It's like impossible for Hank to kill Draco really, unless there's a lot of walls, but Draco just feeds hypercharges for free off of Hank. Next up, we've got Ash. So again, a lot of pros that draft the Ash into Hank just because in that 1 versus 1, Ash can just ramp up the damage, and just in that pure 1 versus 1, he can just deal more damage and just out battle and Hank easily. Like, again, pros just draft Ash into Hank every single time, so it's a clear counter. Next we've got Kenji. So Kenji's a bit of a new one. I think Kenji's pretty good into Hank because you can keep a safe distance. You've got a lot of healing, which can help you survive against the Hank, and also like Hank's never really going to get the chance to fully super on top of Kenji because he can dash in and out and get damage that way. So Kenji's always been drafted into Hank again because Hank will just feed Kenji hypercharge for free. Next up we've got B and Crow. So B and Crow are really good into Hank on a more open map. So you're talking like dueling beetles. Crow's like a soft counter to Hank because with his anti-heal he can really stop Hank from hitting up with his super, and B again, like big damage, can really deal with Hank on an open map. But next up we're looking to counter Kit, and Kit is such a big problem in the meta right now, one of the most banned brawlers in pro play, and that is because Kit has turned from a support brawler into an assassin thanks to Kit's hypercharge. So starting off with the best counter in a 1 versus 1, I think it's RT, but I won't even say RT is like the craziest counter anymore. So I wouldn't like purely draft RT into a Kit in other game modes really. I think RT's hypercharge isn't like, it takes forever to get. So I think really if you're playing like Showdown or Duels, I'd only play RT into a Kit. Outside of that, I don't think it's good enough. Maybe Bounty and Knockout, it's okay just because RT's already good in that game mode. But yeah, just bear that in mind. RT's not as good as a counter as he used to be. Next up we have Hank. So Hank's a good counter to Kit, mainly because Kit can't really jump on top of a Hank, because most of the time Hank will have a super, and we know what happens when Kit jumps on top of a Hank and when Hank gets unstunned. Well, Hank could just super and one-shot the Kit, so pretty obvious there. Next up with Draco. So again, like Kit just really struggles to kill a Draco, especially because of just the amount of HP he has purely. Like Kit will just, even with a hypercharged super on top of Draco, by the time the stun finishes, Draco will probably have about 4 or 5k health, and he has a gadget to keep him alive as well, and maybe he's even popped super for that damage reduction. So Draco is really, really good into Kit. And then lastly, Sandy. So Sandy's good into Kit mainly because of a stun. So the stun can just give Sandy a little bit of extra survivability there. And you've also got Sandy's super that's able to push back Kit, and Kit's just not good with that super. Sometimes Kit can take a long time to build up that super again. Sandy could just keep up the pressure that way. So yeah, those are the best counters to Kit. So we're looking to counter Kaze. So Kaze has been a really annoying brawler in the meta for a long time for me. I've always struggled to pick out pure counters because Kaze is such a versatile brawler. You can switch between modes, and that just makes her good into everything. So the biggest one I would say is just make sure you know what gadget she's running. So people make this mistake quite often with Kaze. Say, for example, in Bounty or in Knockout, they'll just go at the map, not thinking straight, and then Kaze's in their face invisible. So Kaze can really go up the map quickly, then pop gadget to go invis and just catch you by surprise at the start of the game. So just bear that in mind. Be a little bit more cautious against the Kaze at the start of the game. But first off, we have Charlie. Charlie's not like a really good hard counter, but I just like Charlie in the meta. It's pretty safe into assassins, and Kaze can't really super into a Charlie when Charlie has super, which most of the time Charlie should. So really good defensive capabilities there, and pros do draft Charlie a lot into Kaze, I've been noticing. Next up, Tara. So Tara is pretty self-explanatory. Tara in that mid-range will just deal more damage. You've also got the pets to soak up a lot of the ninja attacks, and yeah, Tara will just feed super, just easy counter there. Just no explaining. Pros always draft Tara into the Kaze. Next up, we've got Cordelius. So again, pretty self-explanatory. The fact that Cordelius just counters a lot of assassins and tanks because of his high damage. Since his damage buff, he's just become such a good brawler. But if you're looking just again, like you just want to put Carl's into the Shadow Realm. It should be a free kill most of the time. Next up, Finks. So Finks is surprising, and Semantic explained it to me, and it made sense. So with his star power, I don't even know what, it's just too hard of a star power to explain, like the name of it, but the star power that reduces the reload speed by 30%, I believe, for 3 seconds every time you hit someone. It's really, really impactful with Kaze, because it just means that Kaze is able to dash a lot less frequently, so you can, of course, limited Kaze's mobility, you're able to take it down a lot more easily. So on those more open maps, Finks is a good counter, but I've not yet to try that out, so I'm excited to try that one out myself. Yeah, that's pretty much it, because as well with the gadget, as well with Finks, you can like teleport back, you know, dodge that ninja super. Yeah, Finks sounds like a really good counter. I'm going to try it. Next up, we're looking to counter Bonnie. So Bonnie has to be one of the best brawlers inside of the game. I keep on talking about it because like, even ranked players at Masters 2, 3, even Pro Rank don't go Bonnie enough. So it's really, really difficult to counter Bonnie right now. I think in terms of like strategies to counter her, I think it's more so just like grouping up. You know, knockout and bounty is essential to group up against a Bonnie, because if you're just going to stand alone away from everyone, Bonnie's going to get a free kill onto you, and you're not going to be able to trade out the kill. So it's all about trading out the kill with a Bonnie. It kind of reminds me of like a kid, or any like assassin really. You like to group up, say against a Leon, you group up to defend that. So Buster's also a half decent counter, mainly because once Bonnie jumps in, you can gadget Bonnie closer and kill her pretty quickly, and your star power prevents Bonnie from actually stunning you. But the problem is Bonnie does a lot of damage when she lands, so yeah, just bear that in mind. Brock is a half decent counter. It's not like anything crazy, but in knockout and bounty, you can use the jump gadget, and it means that Bonnie can't get a free jump every single time. And I just believe like snipers are okay into Bonnie before she gets super, so you can defend yourself at least in bounty and knockout. Next up, it is Finks. So Finks is really good into Bonnie in knockout, again with that gadget being able to teleport away. It's pretty underrated. RT is a really, really good counter to Bonnie in knockout, because you've got his super, and again in those sniper 1v1s, pretty much every sniper beats Bonnie because she's just so slow and easy to hit. And then lastly, we have Kaze, or just any assassins on close range maps. So Bonnie's being used a lot in those close range Brawl maps, gem grab maps. That's when you know she's broken, but assassins will just be able to beat her in a 1v1 because she has a single projectile, and she just can't deal with that damage up close. So easy counters there. So we're looking to counter Crow. So Crow's starting to go down a little bit in the meta, I'm noticing, but there's a few brawlers, like I had to ask again Semantic for help on Crow, because normally like snipers would counter Crow pretty easily, but I feel like snipers don't even counter Crow really anymore, because he was squishy. A couple of taps he would be dead, but now you need like 3 or 4 taps from some snipers to kill a Crow. So that's, yeah, Crow's snipers just aren't that good in the meta anymore. So starting off with Charlie. So Charlie's always drafted into Crow, and same with like Tara. These pets are just really annoying for Crow to deal with. Literally for weeks I'm just seeing Charlie into Crow, Charlie into Crow, Pro picks Crow, Charlie every single time. Next up, we've got Finks. So Finks is really like underrated in the meta. He's becoming a good counter to a lot of these brawlers, and specifically in Hot Zone, it's just really easy to avoid Crow's attacks. And I just think in that 1v1, Finks just deals way more damage, so you're just able to take advantage of that as a Finks. And if Crow jumps in, well, you can teleport away with that. Away from that, especially if you time it correctly. Next up, we've got Shade, Buster, Bonnie, and Lumi. So there are quite a few really top meta brawlers, but the thing about Crow, right, like, yeah, he can jump away, and he's just good into most things, but if there's like an assassin or just a brawler that can just quickly just get on him, he can't deal with damage to kill them or really do anything. So any like quick burst damage, hypercharge, etc., it can just delete a Crow. Next up, we're looking to counter the GOAT, Jae Young. Well, you can't counter myself because I am the GOAT. Jae Young is actually pretty good in the meta and very underrated, I would say. I think whenever I see a Jae Young in pro play, it just always seems to work because there's hardly a single brawler that counters him. But the first one has to be Crow. So Crow has always been a great counter to Jae Young, because with Crow's anti-heal, it means a lot of the time you want to mainly stay on the speed with Jae Young, but if you notice a teammate is low, you can just spam a couple of heals. Well, if you're poisoned by Crow, you can't really do that because it just means your heals are just pointless. You just don't heal at all. Next up is Bonnie. So Bonnie is a fantastic counter to Jae Young. So Jae Young normally can half decently deal well with assassins, but Bonnie's damage up close, especially with Hypercharge, is just way too quick for Jae-Young. So Bonnie's a very, very good counter to Jae-Young, but of course she's one of the best brawlers in the game, so she's going to be most of the time. Next, Meg. So I think Meg is a fantastic counter to Jae-Young, mainly because he just doesn't really do much damage. So Meg's survivability is insane, and you just see a lot of pros draft Meg into Jae-Young, I've been noticing, especially in like Hot Zone, maybe like Knockout as well. Been seeing it quite often. And then lastly, Belle. So Belle is one of the best counters to Jae-Young easily, because as Jae-Young, you want to group up. You want to stay close to your teammates because you benefit from staying close to your teammates through that star power. You get extra speed, but then also your support brawler. You want to give speeds to your teammates. You want to give healing to your teammates through your super, through your main attack. So Belle just stops you from grouping up. So it kind of stops the whole point of Jae-Young. So we're looking to counter Lawrie. So Lawrie is just undeniably one of the best brawlers in the game right now in terms of play rates and ban rates. She's always at the top in pro play. And that's just because she's just really good into everything. But the best counter by far to Lawrie has to be Bonnie. Again, it's another meta brawler, but you just have to go it. Lawrie just can't answer to a Bonnie. She gets outranged when Bonnie doesn't even have super. And then, of course, when Bonnie jumps onto a Lawrie, what can Lawrie do about that? So, yeah. The biggest weakness to Lawrie is definitely getting close, but it's hard to get close to a Lawrie because of the amount of damage she deals. But the next one has to be Kaze. So Kaze is really good into Lawrie, mainly because Kaze can just keep dashing around Lumie's attacks. I mean, Lawrie can be okay-ish, but again, if Lawrie wants to root Kaze with her super, Kaze can just dash out of it straight away. So, yeah, it's really, really difficult to kill a Kaze as Lawrie. So I just think for that reason alone, Kaze is a good counter. Next up, Lily. So Lily's just really good into Lawrie because you can just gadget, get close to a Lawrie, and what can Lawrie do when there's a Lily right on top of you with super, with hypercharge? Nothing Lawrie can do. Next up, B. So B is drafted a lot into Lawrie when Lumie's picked in like Hot Zone, Brawl, etc. B just clearly outranges a Lawrie. It just makes easy sense there. And lastly, Jae-Young. So I really like Jae-Young into Lawrie because, again, you can easily just speed in and out of, I don't know, Lumie's gadget, just main attack. It's just, in that mid-range, I think Jae-Young's just a lot more consistent in damage in that 1 versus 1. So we're looking to counter Draco. So Draco is just proven to be an hesitate brawler in the meta. Again, his hypercharge is just too easy to get. He can just charge it from everyone and just completely change the game. So the first counter is going to be Lou. So I'm not really seeing too much Lou in this meta, surprisingly. But he's a fantastic counter to Draco because, yeah, it's Lou. Lou's just great into a lot of assassins and tanks, but he can just stop Draco in his tracks. There's not a lot of brawlers that can really do that, especially in that mid-range. Next up, we've got Ashe. So pros love drafting Ashe into a Draco. I just think Ashe has more range, and just as long as you're not feeding the Draco early on, you can just keep that consistent damage, and then like you can just overrule a Draco. I mean, if you make a few mistakes, you can feed a lot of Draco hypercharges, but I'm just thinking that 1 versus 1 battle on a grassy map, Ashe will win. That's why pros draft Ashe into a Draco. Next, we've got Shade. So again, Shade can just farm a lot of super easily from Draco. And again, Draco will probably get hypercharge from the Shade interactions, but I just think purely in 1 versus 1, Shade should win that most of the time. It's just whose hypercharge is more broken. Probably Draco's. It's a bit hard not to feed Draco hypercharge though. So what do you even do really right now? And then lastly, B. So people use a lot of B into a Draco on like Hot Zone, Draco's best game mode. So yeah. Next up, we're looking to counter Shade, and the first one, everybody knows when Shade first got released, everyone knew that Hank was going to counter Shade. And that was when Hank was terrible. So imagine that counter, yeah, it's just disgusting. Shade just can't really do anything about it. I mean, like, maybe if Hank misplays it, of course, you can always do something. Next up, Ruffs. So Ruffs isn't like any crazy counter most of the time, but there are a few select maps in the game, especially in Gem Grab, or just if you play it right. You've got to play Ruffs right. You got to break up the map, and you can like, of course, shoot around walls and hit the Shade when Shade's not got super. So it's all about not feeding Shade. If you're a really good player, you can keep your distance, and you know how unsufferable it is when you just can't get within distance with anyone with Shade. Everyone's just running away from you, pinching you down. You're basically useless. It's happened a lot. I've seen it a lot in pro play. So Ruffs is good for that reason. Opening up the map is Shade's biggest weakness. And next up, Buzz. So again, in a quick 1 versus 1, Buzz can just use extra stun. There's not really much that Shade can do, I think, in that kind of mid battle. I mean, only with the hyper charge you can do something. And then lastly, Tara. So Tara can just wreck a Shade, literally just completely annihilate a Shade. And you've got Tara's hyper charge, which you get pretty easily, just breaks so much terrain, so eventually just making it so hard for Shade to do anything. So now moving on to the final brawler on this list, we have Kenji. And again, another brawler that I really struggled to counter right now. I had to ask for Semantic's help because I just really couldn't find many brawlers to counter Kenji with. So the first one, I used to think that Frank countered Kenji, and I feel like he did in previous metas, but just be aware that now I don't think he does whatsoever, because Kenji can just feed hypercharge from Frank really easily. Yeah, and then Kenji's hypercharge is one of the best in the game, so you don't want to feed Kenji's hypercharge. That is the main thing. The main counter here is just keeping distance against Kenji. A really good Kenji player makes it difficult, but just don't get within distance. So that is why Ash is the best counter to Kenji, because Semantic said if you keep within distance and you do outrange Kenji pretty easily, you can free tap a Kenji once you hit that first shot. So in that interaction, Ash can win that pretty easily. Next up, we've got Cordelius. So Cordelius is a fantastic counter to Kenji. Cordelius is a good counter to a lot of assassins and a lot of tanks. But do be aware though, if Kenji is really, really close, he can sometimes like barely win that interaction. But most of the time, even if Cordelius plays it horribly, he should win it. I've been having a lot of problems going into Cordelius. Like I played about 10 games of ranked in the last day with Kenji, and I just can't win versus Cordelius. So it's a big counter. I've been picking Kenji like first pick just to try and find the best counters. Next up, we have Lily. So Lily is a great counter to Kenji, mainly because Kenji just takes longer to get his hypercharge, whereas Lily takes 3 supers to get, and you can charge it automatically. The hypercharge is just as good as Kenji's hypercharge in the sense that you can turn around a game pretty easily with it. So, and then if Lily ever wants to hypercharge versus Kenji, she'll just delete Kenji. So really good. And then you've got like Lily, I've already said Lily, Kit, sorry. So Kit's just a better assassin in that sense. And then finally Draco. Draco is drafted so much into a Kenji, just because Kenji just can't deal enough damage to really kill a Draco, especially when Draco has super. So we're looking to counter Lily. So Lily is a pretty hard brawler to counter, mainly because her hypercharge pretty much kills every single brawler inside of a game in a 1 versus 1 outside of the first brawler, which is Chester. So Chester, again, this is a common theme. Whenever someone first picks a Lily, especially in Gem, Grab, or Brawl, people retaliate with a Chester, because Chester, if you don't know, well, he just does an insane amount of damage up close. And if Lily has hypercharge even, like Chester can have, for example, like the 3rd and the 4th bell sequence and just delete Lily in an instant. So you've got to be really careful when you're against Lily, against Chester as a Lily, sorry, but you can beat Chester, especially if you time it correctly, but he's just the best counter. But next is going to be Draco. So a good reason as to why Lily is bad into Draco is because Draco just has such an abundance of HP, and then when you're just constantly cycling your super with Draco, you've got a damage reduction shield, you've also got your gadget as well that can save you against Lily. Lily just never really has a good matchup into the Draco. And then there's also Rosa. So Rosa is fantastic at countering Lily. Don't see this too much because she is a super off meta pick, but you saw it, I think it was in a circle, I think it was against Heretics. Can't remember who it was, but it was on double swoosh, and they picked Rosa into Lily, and it seemed to work out pretty well. There's other ones like Tara and Doug as well. Pretty much any brawler that has really quick burst damage into like Lily that's going to teleport onto you, it's going to work out well. Okay, so now jumping into the final brawler we're looking to counter on the list, it is Amber. So Amber's just one of those annoying brawlers in the meta. You know, she doesn't like hard counter anyone specifically. There's not really a ton of like absolute counters to her either. She's just good against everything. But the first one has to be Crow. Crow's always been a good counter to Amber, just in that mid-range engagement. But it's mainly because Crow can easily jump onto an Amber without Amber being able to really do anything about that. Especially now that everybody uses the shield gadget with Crow, it's really impossible for Amber to do anything against him. And then you have Kenji. So Kenji's a fantastic counter to Amber. You would have seen this on maps like Triple Dribble and Pro Play, and just in general, just because Kenji can get behind walls pretty easily, and Amber just hates being close to walls, if that makes sense. She can't really defend herself. Even with Dancing Flames gadget, you see Kenji come out on top pretty often. And then you've got Bonnie, you've also got Gus, Draco. There's quite an abundance of counters, like okay matchups into Amber. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoy. Let me know whether I missed out on any of the counters in the comment section below. There might be some off meta ones I might miss out on, but a lot of these are other meta brawlers. But this will also help you out in the draft, right? I know a lot of people will say, oh, you only picked meta brawlers here, but there's just not really a lot of off meta picks right now. Like there's hardly any in Pro Play where, you know, like for example the pennies or I just can't think of any other really terrible brawler, but you get what I mean. You just can't go these brawlers and draft in pro play. But anyway, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to check out Semantic and vid in the comment section in the description below. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.